Hey, good morning here. It's Edna Keep Live with Free Coaching Friday, and today is all about the power of leverage. I know that most people know that leverage in real estate is very, very powerful, and one of the main ways for us to maximize our return on real estate. So that is definitely a big one. I mean, when you're dealing with property, you're getting anywhere from 70, 75, 80, even 85% financing from a lender. First question I have for you is why do you think they do that? It's because it's one of the safest investments out there. Your home is the number one safest investment out there. Everybody will pay their mortgage before they'll pay anything else. And number two, multifamily residential, because again, people will pay their rent because they need a place to live, right? And I know as landlords, sometimes we complain about it, but it's absolutely true. People need a place to live first and foremost, especially in our cold Canadian winters, right? You don't see many homeless people in our area. Anyway, so the power of leverage is huge in real estate. Oh, where'd my book go here? And when we gauge our rate of return, we base it on the amount of money that we put into the deal. So that's important. The other ways that we leverage money that we don't really think about it, but it really makes sense. So we leverage through credit in the form of credit cards, vehicle loans, second mortgages, interest, expertise, stuff like that. Those are all ways that you're leveraging money. So you might have, and this is a standard that a lot of people do, is they pay all their bills every month through their credit card, and they collect air miles and stuff like that, and then they pay it off at the end of the month. Well, that's leveraging the bank's money for 30 days or 23 days or whatever it is that they allow you to do. So it works good. Now, where they make up their money is a ton of people don't pay off that credit card debt every month. So they know that giving somebody 30 days or 25 days free, they still make a lot of money, right? But it's still a form of leverage. We actually bought an apartment building that was in foreclosure on a credit card one time, $225,000. So you know what, you can do a lot of stuff with leverage, with money. But some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today was different ways we can leverage that not everybody thinks about. So I'm going to go through a few of them. So one of them is other people's time. And a lot of employees don't think about this, but their bosses or owners are leveraging their time because every step down is cheaper, right? So if you're somebody up here, owner of a business, your time, paid time is worth a certain amount. And it's always told to us that we've got to hire out the lesser jobs. So say, for example, if your job is paying you $40 an hour and you get an opportunity to work overtime that weekend or evening and get paid $60 an hour, why would you ever turn that down and say, no, I got to go home and mow my lawn? It doesn't make sense, right? You can hire somebody for $15 an hour or less to mow your lawn. Does that make sense? So again, that's leveraging somebody else's time. Yeah, you pay for it, but in the long run, you come out ahead. And, I know when you're paying taxes and all that kind of stuff, you may not end up with that much per hour. But especially important when you're dealing with self-employed or business ownership, right? You want to hire off the lower level jobs. There's no reason why you should be cutting your own grass when you can hire that out for $15 an hour. Make sense? Okay. Another way that you can leverage, and it's not just time, but it's also knowledge, talent, stuff like that. That's where we're starting to get into this, is joint venture partnerships. In the real estate world, we talk, hey, good morning, Marja, nice to see you on. In the real estate world, we talk about joint venture partnerships as a way to bring in capital. And that's so true. That's so powerful and so helpful. But another really great way is to bring in a joint venture partner who will manage the deal. So in my case, we're usually considered the money partner, because even though we may not put our own money in, we are raising capital. Margin's the same thing. So our highest and best use, and the way that we make our best contribution is through doing that. So there's no point us running out and looking at buildings, right? So again, that's leveraging partnerships. In my case, my husband is one of my partners, and he does a lot of that kind of stuff for us. He likes doing it. He's better at it than me. He can see the construction of a building. He's built our own home. He understands that kind of stuff. He's done enough repairs and maintenance over the years to know what needs to be done and stuff like that. And he's always working on that kind of stuff. So who's a better person to go out and look after that? Definitely not me, right? It makes more sense for him to be the person looking after that. Another explanation of leveraging other people's times is using Fiverr, or hiring a virtual assistant, or hiring a full-time assistant, depending on how busy you are. But again, it's time for one thing, but for another, it's talent. It wouldn't make any sense for me to spend time learning how to fix my computer when it goes down, fix my printer when it goes down. I hire that out. Sometimes I can do it with a phone call, and they get on my computer. I give them access to work on it right as I'm sitting there, and they fix my challenge. It would take me hours and hours to figure that out. And, sometimes even when I'm on the phone with them, they Google and get an answer. They Google and go, oh, let me see how I work that. But you know what? They understand all the ins and outs of it. So it's still way faster for me to pay them even $65 an hour to take those challenges off my plate. First of all, I don't want to learn those. It doesn't interest me in the slightest. And I would rather pay $65 for somebody to fix that challenge for me. So that's another way. Another way to leverage time and talent is your mortgage broker and your realtor. Your mortgage broker and your realtor only get paid if the deal gets completed. So they basically work for you for free until the deal's completed, right? Like if the deal doesn't sell with a realtor, they don't get paid. If the mortgage broker can't get financing for your property, they don't get paid. So utilize them. When you're raising money for your deals, make sure you get enough to cover off the mortgage broker. When you're buying, you don't have the realtor fees, but when you're selling, make it worthwhile, and think about, things like, do I want to be running to my house every day and showing it? Or is it better to pay somebody a commission to do that job for you? Again, you got to make that call because you know your hourly rate. I don't. Hey, good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Ivan. Nice to see you guys on. Okay, another way to use the power of leverage is other people's knowledge. There's not enough time in the day to research everything right from the bottom up. So books are a great way to leverage other people's knowledge. They've maybe been studying something for 20 years and then they write a book about it. Well, awesome. Well, there's a shortcut for us as opposed to doing the same research for 20 years. We read a book in a week and we got the knowledge that they've got. And generally they fine tune and give us the best stuff out of it, right? They don't hold back. That's the reason they're selling their books. Courses is another great way. Proved to me again and again and again. Taking somebody else's courses is a great way, actually two things, to learn, first of all, but to learn how to do your own courses. When I've taken courses, I've made notes on things I like and things I don't like. And then that's something that I can incorporate into when I'm doing my courses. Same with it when it comes to coaching. Coaches are a very huge leverage opportunity because, again, they've been there, done that. They help you think through things that sometimes you don't stop and think through. They're in your corner. They're helping you think things through that if you're just sitting there by yourself might be difficult. They might ask you the hard questions to think about, like, why are you doing this? You're hating it. Why are you cutting the grass when somebody else should be cutting the grass, sort of thing, right? Facebook groups is another great way. One of my students the other day, we were having a conversation in our accountability call, which happens at Monday morning at 5 a.m. And she was telling us about all this stuff that she learned about pest control through ORT. She'd got some flyers and different stuff like that on teaching your tenants what to watch for. And I went, wow, that was really interesting. It was something I didn't know. And I said, why don't you do a Facebook post on that? So she did that yesterday. So if any of you guys are not familiar with the challenges that happen with pest control, go listen to Charmaine's video yesterday. It was excellent. Really, really good. And something that we should revisit occasionally anyway, because you might read it or listen to it one time or another, but things change, or it's a good reminder, right? So again, somebody else's talent, somebody else's research. She spent, I don't know how much time talking to that ORT guy, and she condensed it down into a short video for us to highlight the parts that were important. So that's really important. And again, that's the power of Facebook groups. Like, I post a lot of stuff in there that I read, listen to. I posted some stuff yesterday that, just blew me away, listening to a guy talk about education. And you know, I don't study it that much to know, but I absolutely agreed with everything he said. So instead of me doing a whole video all over again, I just shared it. I went, wow, that's amazing. What the research he's done into it, the things that he's learned in the meantime, and I watched a short video which I can then share with other people. So that's awesome. We always have to remember, we don't even know what we don't know. You know, I know our education system has been failing us. It doesn't teach our kids. They come out of school with huge debts, like university and stuff like that. They make you take a whole bunch of useless classes, I think, just for the money and maybe to help you get used to going to school. I don't know what the reason is. I think it's just for money. And people get sucked into that and they go, oh, well, so-and-so went to university and I got to go to university and blah, 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 blah. And they come out of school with a huge debt and they don't even like what they're doing. Well, is that doing your kids any favor, forcing them to go to school? I don't think so. I think that you're just forcing them to waste 4 more years of their lives before they get to do what they really want to do anyway. I've often said that I'd rather see my girls, instead of going to university, follow Tony Robbins around for a year and just learn the whole personal development thing first, and then from there decide what your career is going to be. That's what I think is more important. Hey, good morning, Barbara. Nice to see you on. Other people's talents. This is one again that is so important, like using other people's talents. I've learned how to do spreadsheets, basic spreadsheets. I took a course one time about making pretty spreadsheets, and you know, I only spent an hour or something on it. It was a very short course, but it made such a difference on me being able to show charts and stuff that look a lot nicer than the ones I was making. And do I know it well enough to teach other people? No, but I'd recommend taking that same course yourself. It was so good, and I'm sure you can Google it because I don't remember the name of it either. Other people's talents, again, joint venture relationships. Well, our joint venture relationships might be money partners, so somebody else who's working at a job they love and making good money at it. They don't have time to do what we do, study what we do, so they become our joint venture partners and they're the money partners. But then there's also managing partners. We have many managing partners. As a matter of fact, we'd rather take 25% of a deal instead of 50 and bring in a managing partner because we don't like to do that day-to-day stuff. So sometimes it's using other people's talents, giving them an opportunity. I mean, we could do it. We could hire it out. But giving other people an opportunity to do it and let them excel in the area they're best at or that they love to do. And then you get to do more and more of what you like to do. Another talent is bookkeeping. For a lot of years, I did not the year-end bookkeeping. I've never done that, but all the day-to-day bookkeeping, like paying the bills and tracking the checkbooks and balancing the checkbooks at the end of every month. And it got to the point where it just didn't make any sense for me to do it anymore. The system's in place that I don't have to do it anymore. And now, I have to wait a little bit to get my reports from what I was used to, but I've also got a new bookkeeper that gets them to me very quickly. So every 2 weeks into the month, I've got my month-end report. 2-3 weeks into the quarter, I've got my quarter-end report. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer because we're still working on, fine-tuning it and making sure it's really good before we send it out. But most of the time, it's getting better and better. So that's another one. I've got a lot of real estate entrepreneurs on here. What are some ways that you leverage other people's money, time, knowledge, talent? Contacts is another really big one. Contacts. I've made some wonderful, wonderful contacts over the years. And, just thinking of one that I made recently, last September, as a matter of fact, I was introduced to Rock Thomas. Well, now I've introduced a ton of my students to him, and it's just a great win-win all the way around. He shares my program with his students, and I share his program with my students because I think they're a great combination or complement to each other. There's no point reinventing the wheel and feeling like you have to do it all over yourself. I know before I met Rock, I was actually personally thinking that I should do a personal development program because I felt like a lot of my students were being held back. They had the knowledge of what they could do to buy multifamily, but they were still being held back by, limiting beliefs and just some basic personal development that they needed to do. So that's why I think it's a really good compliment. So where can you use, other people's contacts to make things better for yourself? It's huge. Just had a conversation with a guy the other day. He had called me to see if I would promote his program for him. And in the long run, decided not to do his program right now because he didn't have enough time to promote it properly. Just came out kind of in our conversation. And I taught him something about the financing of our buildings, just through a conversation. He was, when we're done, he was going, holy cow, I called you to help you out and get you to help me do my course. And he says, I ended up making a whole new contact and you helped me out a lot because I was kind of stuck in that area. So there's ways that you can leverage yourself and do it. Like, be free with your knowledge. Some people say to me, well, why do you teach us everything you know? You're just creating your competition. Well, you know what? I don't believe in competition. I believe in partnerships. And if I can help you out, you know what? Someday you'll help me out or somebody else will help me out. It doesn't have to be you. Don't think of it that way. Don't think of it as, well, you help me, I'll help you. Just help. And things will come back to you in a good way and you'll get helped a lot too, right? So just to finalize this, I'm going to tell you a funny story because one of the things that I talk about when I do this workshop on the power of leverage, it's actually a 2-hour workshop. And how I end it is talking about the leveraging horses. And people go, leveraging horses? Never heard of that. But you know what? And this again is learning from, I do strategy calls with people interested in my program. And I had a call with this lady one time who was interested in raising capital to expand on her horse raising farm, or maybe not a horse raising farm. I can't imagine what it was, but she was wanting to expand on the use of the horses that she had. And she was telling me that there is a group out there. And you know what? I would imagine just from hearing this story that a lot of people do this, but it's just not thought of this way. But there's a horse boarding place that actually, so what they do is they board other people's horses. And if anybody here is into horses, you know that that's an expensive thing to board your horses with somebody. It's very expensive. And those horses, you don't just get them fed, but you get them exercised as well, because that's really, really important. So one lady decided to make her business into a horse riding stable so that she could get the students to help her exercise the horses. So that's the power of leverage again. Was she paying those students? No, those students were paying her to come and ride the horses that she was boarding and making money from. Isn't that powerful? So my challenge to you this week is, where can you leverage yourself? Where can you use leverage to expand on your business? Especially if you find yourself saying, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time, or I don't know how, I don't know how. How can you leverage somebody else's money? How can you leverage somebody else's time? How can you leverage somebody else's knowledge? How can you leverage somebody else's contacts? And how can you leverage other people's horses? If you have a horse. If you don't have a horse, don't go buy one to try that out. But, and maybe it's not horses. Maybe you've got stuff sitting in your garage that never gets used. And you know what? Actually, this is a business model that I know of. Hey, good morning, John. Nice to see you on. This is a business model that I know of. So you know how there's a ton of people that have a ton of toys. So I know when I go out and look in our garage, we got skidoos and we got quads and we got motorbikes and we got sea-doos and we have a boat. So there's a ton of people out there that use those things a few times a year, 5 times a year, 10 times a year. There's lots of times when it's just sitting there. So my buddy Marcin Rhodes, who some of you guys know because he spoke at my 3-day event the last couple of years, talking about his recurring income revenue model with home security systems. Anyway, he's partnered up with a guy now to almost like Airbnb, but to Airbnb your toys instead of everybody buying their own toys. How powerful is that? That's another form of leverage. So people got together and they thought, you know what? We got all these toys. We can't use them 24/7. Who can I rent them to? So they built a business model around that. Isn't that awesome? Where could you build a business model? For some of you that are looking for ways to get out of your job, where's something you could build a business model around leveraging other people's time, money, etc. 2 years ago, I had taken a course about learning how to buy businesses with none of my own money. And I loved it. I loved the whole concept. I took the guy's mentoring, and then I got busy with my real estate stuff and kind of ended up putting it on hold. Plus, he was supposed to come to my 3-day event and couldn't make it. I think there was a death in the family or something like that. So it kind of got put on hold. I stopped paying attention, stopped showing up for the calls. Some of you, it happens to you guys too. And then I got reinvigorated recently because he brought out a partner program for an additional, I think, $3,000 on top of the program I already bought, where he'll partner with you on businesses that you find. But the key is, and that was the part I struggled with, was finding those businesses. So I went back online and I started researching a bunch of businesses. I have about 10 businesses on my desk right now. I had to sign non-disclosure agreements on them, but ones where there's certain capitalization point, they make a certain amount every year, and like net, and there's a possibility of buying those businesses without any of your own money. Without any money, no, but without any of your own money. So when I was telling my accountant about that a couple years ago, because he always asked me, what are you excited about, Edna? And of course, I always have something to tell him. And at that time, it was buying these businesses. And he said to me, Edna, I know of at least 15 businesses here in Regina that has the same challenge that your mentor talked about. There's no succession plan. Their systems aren't in place that make these businesses saleable. And I said, okay, well, when I learn enough, I'm going to come back to you and talk to you about that. So yesterday, I reached out to that accountant and I said, I want to talk to you about those businesses, because you had mentioned before that you had some people who wanted to sell their businesses, but there was no real interest in their businesses. I said, those are the people that I think I can help, and I can get their business without any capital of my own. So in the meantime now, they've hired a special guy to come in and help them with valuing businesses, like we were just talking to, helping them get their business ready for sale. So I went in and met with this fellow yesterday. And again, this is leveraging somebody else's knowledge. So I kind of told him what I'd taken this course and what I was interested in. And he immediately named off a few businesses that we could look at buying. And he said, and you know what? They're the classic example that you're mentioning. He said, there's some people that I'm saying, okay, you want to sell, perfect. It's going to take you about 3 years to get your business ready to sell because it's too reliant on you. And the owners go, oh, well, I'm just tired. I'm done. I don't want to spend another 3 years. So I said to him, those are the ones I can help. Put me in touch with those. So signed again a non-disclosure agreement. Already have one on my desk that we're going to explore, which is an add-on business to our real estate that clears $80,000 a year. There's all kinds of opportunities out there. It doesn't have to be real estate. So again, where can you leverage other people's knowledge? After having this great conversation with that accountant yesterday, I thought, how many other accountant offices could I reach out to and have the same conversation with and maybe come up with another 10 or 15 businesses that are for sale? Maybe I won't buy them. Maybe I'll help you buy them. Maybe I'll pass them on to somebody else. Maybe they're not something I'd be interested in. So that's my next cue. Who's the next accountant I can sit down with and talk to about some businesses that they've run across that are not saleable, and it's going to take 3 to 4 years to make them that way. We're in the position to do that. The other guys just want to sell and get out. They're tired. Another way. Where can I use somebody else's contacts, right? Because I don't know all these business owners. And one of the things in Carl's course that I took was to go on LinkedIn and do all the searching. And I'm thinking, you know what? Why not go straight to the people who are dealing with these people? And those are accountants. They know already what kind of money they're making. Yesterday, when I told him we were looking at businesses between 5 and 10 million, he said, oh gosh, that changes my whole line of thinking for you guys. And I said, and net 500,000. We don't want to buy any business that doesn't net at least $500,000 a year. And of course, if they have vendor financing, that's even better. And not that they need to know how to vendor finance. I can figure that out for them. So again, another way to leverage your contacts, leverage your knowledge, leverage your time. So hopefully that was a good session for you guys. If you have any question about that, reach out to me and let me know. And I told my accountant I want to buy a business before the end of the year. So ask me how I'm doing with that too, because sometimes I need to be reminded of why I want to do that. So have a really, really good weekend. We actually get to go out to a client appreciation event tonight through a mortgage broker I work with a lot. So we really appreciate that. And not sure what the weather's going to bring this weekend. So whether we'll end up at the lake or not. But have a really great weekend, and we'll talk to you all on Mindset Monday. Bye for now.